podcast, I'm chatting to Teresa Heath-Wareing, who has been on the podcast before, but she was coaching me rather than sharing her expertise. And she has a lot of incredible wisdom to share, so I wanted to have her back. Teresa is a business coach, launch expert, and podcast host. And today we're going to be chatting all about launching. And you might be thinking, hang on, Liz, I don't launch. But actually, there are loads of ways that you can launch in your business. And I think what we're talking about is going to be relevant to everybody. So have a listen, and I hope you enjoy our chat. Hey, Teresa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Liz.
It's
really
nice to have you back.
I know.
I feel like last time we chatted, it was quite a weird episode because it was not weird, as in it was really good, but it was you coaching me. So it was
a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I know. I remember you being really stressed about it.
Just because obviously I coach all the time and I coach business owners all the time, but to be under it was almost like, okay, something good's got to come out of this. It's got to work. And sometimes with coaching, it doesn't work like that. Like it takes a while or conversations or something to come up. So it was really cool. It was a really, really cool episode. Very unique.
Yeah.
And I think I remember at the time, because it was a while back, that we got some really good feedback from it.
Yeah, really good feedback. And I remember us chatting and me having a moment where I was like, oh yeah, like something did click into place. So I totally get what you're saying. The pressure of doing it in one session.
Yeah.
But I think it was really good. And I think a lot of people don't really know what to expect with coaching. So I think it's nice for people to kind of see a bit what it's like. So yeah, it was really good. But today we're going to be talking about launching. So I'd love to start maybe by getting you to not give the definition, but explain, what do you think launching is? How, if someone literally was hearing the word for the first time, how would you explain launching to them?
And this is such a good place to start, where lots of people don't. And when you're in your own industry, you forget that people don't necessarily know what you're on about. All it is a marketing campaign. When I use the word launch, prior to being in the online space, a launch would be you're launching something for the first time. You have a product, a service, an offering that has never been seen by the world before, and you are announcing it to the world. In the online space, that's not necessarily what we're talking about. We're talking about a marketing campaign or a set of time where you are actively promoting something. That's how I would describe a launch. So you could have an offer that you have sold 3, 4, 5, 10 times over, but the point in which you go to actively sell it or actively market it is what we'd call a launch.
That's I'm so glad that you made that distinction, because I think, if you're not in the online space, you think it always has to be something new.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of business owners don't think it's relevant for them, because they're like, well, I'm not bringing out new things all the time. And I like that definition of it's just a marketing campaign.
That's all it is.
That just makes it, it's like so many of these things. I've had this conversation so many times on the podcast where there's a word, and basically that word causes so many problems. So I think strategy is one of those where, it's like, what even does that mean? And everyone's got a slightly different, even branding, right? If you Google branding, there are so many different definitions of what it is. And it just gets really confusing then. And then people think it's this sort of dark, mysterious thing that they're not supposed to know about. And actually, with strategy, it's having a goal and then coming up with a plan to get to that goal. And And
they think that they're not doing something right. They think that, I haven't got the brand right, or I haven't got the strategy right, or I haven't, because they don't really know what that means. And the truth is, so I did a degree in marketing, literally 20 something years ago. And I worked in marketing for 10 years. And the people who use the big words over and over and over and over and over, we're not that smart, right? Because they're trying to use big words to make people think
fool you.
They're really smart. And actually, we don't need the big words. I don't need to throw in all these terminologies. You just need to say, what is it you mean? And often it's so very simple. And when you probably speak to someone about, I need a brand, and it's like, no, you have a brand. You obviously have something in your head that's telling you it's something it's not, or it's more than what you've got, because you've got to be getting it wrong somewhere, or you've got to be doing it wrong. Because you haven't had someone go, you did a launch, or you did a brand, or you did a strategy, when actually you are. It's just a different word.
And sometimes with a lot of these things, we do it quite intuitively. We just don't necessarily have the language to explain what we're doing. And I think so often business owners are doing so much better than they think they are, because they're just really instinctively doing the thing. They just haven't necessarily got the language to package it up in this like really impressive way.
And that is a massive problem when it comes to like the online space or business in general, because people will look at someone talking about you need this thing, right? And they will go, I haven't got that thing, or they mean something different by it, and therefore I'm doing something wrong, so I must go and buy their program, their course, their offer, their membership, to find out what I'm missing in my business, when the truth is they're probably not missing a lot. Or there's a secret attached to, you know, the reason it isn't working for me is because I've never had someone help me with my brand and I need help with my brand, when the truth is actually they're pretty much 90% doing all the things anyway, and that 10% isn't really going to make the world a difference. Yeah,
that's so true. If someone's listening to this and thinking, like, so you've mentioned the online space a few times, and I think people have a very particular idea of what the sort of launching you're talking about looks like. If someone is listening to this and they've got, say, like a product-based business, or like they're like me and they sell branding packages, like, can you give us some examples of like what a launch might look like for different types of businesses?
Yeah, so again, that's where we come back to, it's a marketing campaign. So even though so let's take a product-based business, even though your product is available all year, all the time, anyone can buy it, you are going to have campaigns where you focus on specific things. So for instance, let's say you do stationery, and I know you and I like buying a bit of stationery. Like when you get to the end of a year, the stationery company is going to be doing a marketing campaign to do all of their next year stuff. Or, you know, we have the planners that go on the walls and all that jazz. Like they're going to go into a marketing campaign to go, now is the time that we need to actively promote this product because this is a really good time. So that effectively is a launch, you know, in the online world or in the language that I'm using, because it's just a marketing campaign. But it's basically creating, and I talk about launch experiences, and it's creating an experience or creating a thing around selling it. So for instance, and I'm going to use is it Good Tuesday? I think they're called. If we take them as a company, and I have one of their wall planners with one for each month, right? Well, they will get to, let's assume I'm making this up now for them, but like, let's say October, and they'll be thinking, okay, people might be starting to look soon for their wall planners for next year. So what they might want to do is create a launch or a campaign around, okay, we're going to tease some colours. We're going to talk about getting ready for next year and getting organised. We're going to share some photography that we've had done. And then we're going to do a short sale or a short offer or a bonus where buy your calendar and we'll give you a diary. No one holds me to this because this is me making stuff up. Good Tuesday. Like, don't say we're going to do this. We're not going to do it. But like, these are some of the things that they might do for a set amount of time to create a fuss, to create some excitement,
like a buzz around.
Exactly. Because unfortunately, like for that, there is a natural thing where people will go, okay, we're getting to the end of the year, I need to order my calendar for next year. So that naturally happens. But for other things, like if you are like me, an online business where I offer online offers where I help you grow your business, well, there's not a particular time in the year. Now, there are definitely times where people are more focused on it, but it's not naturally like, okay, let's get to September and everyone's going to buy a thing. That's not the case. So I need to orchestrate that excitement. I need to orchestrate that buzz around it. And therefore I need to choose to do a launch experience to get more people excited to come and do the thing. This, where we are, is a great example, actually. So this is a podcast studio. They don't naturally, I would imagine, have a time where everyone's like, right, now I need to go and book my podcast studio. Or now is the time where everyone gets excited about, oh, let's book in our next episode. It's a kind of always, right? And if you're busy and you constantly have people coming through your door, then awesome. I'm not saying you don't ever need to create a fuss or an experience, but it might be that actually, there's a quiet period, right? What can we do to create a fuss around coming to do this thing?
Yeah.
And that's all it is. That's what a launch is.
I like the phrase launch experience. I think that's a really helpful way to put it, because the focus is almost like less on the launching, and it's like, what is the experience that I can create that just draws people into this particular product? Today's podcast episode is sponsored by Adobe Acrobat, and I wanted to share with you some of the ways this tool has been helping me to promote my podcast recently. First up, PDF spaces. I can drop the transcript, show notes, and guest bio for an episode into a space and then ask the AI assistant to repurpose that information, pulling out the most important points into a carousel post that I can share on Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm more on the cautious side when it comes to AI usage, and what I like about this is my content is safe in the PDF space. It's not being used to train anything, and it is repurposing content I've already created rather than starting from scratch. It even gives me references to where it got the information from. The other helpful aspect is that there are collaborative features too. So I can share this space with my friend Lois, who works with me on the podcast, and she can easily access the information that she needs and make use of the repurposed content too. I can also make a space where I include transcripts from lots of episodes to analyze the trends and themes that are coming up through the podcast, which helps me to make content that my audience is going to find interesting and helpful. If you want to give it a try yourself, then head to lizmosley.net/acrobat and try out PDF spaces for yourself. I guess that it would be very similar for me as a branding designer, where if I've just got a steady flow of clients, then I don't need to make the experience the buzz. Whereas if I was having a quiet period, I could do like a bit of a campaign, plan my content in a particular way. I could do an offer, like if you book by this time, then you'll get this discount. Or, like maybe there's some bonus, like if you work with me in this quarter, like you get this added bonus. And as I think about it, I'm like, okay, these are all of the things that I've seen people in the more sort of typical, like online, like I definitely experienced it like when I was launching a course, because it was like cohort based and it was a particular time, then that totally makes sense to me. But like now you talk about it, I'm like, okay, I can see how I would apply that to my branding services, because it could be like, often people will offer a bonus or something, and so I'm like, okay, I could offer a bonus if you book with me in this course. So it's like incentivizing people to buy at a particular time,
and that's exactly what that is. And I think, and even I thought this when I first really was in the online space, like that this was exclusive to course creators and membership owners and coaches. Absolutely not. Like cars, I used to work in the car industry, I used to work for Land Rover, and like you would have points March and September where the new regs would come out, so you would have campaigns around those. I worked for loads of different companies doing loads of different types of marketing, and even if you do have a steady stream, it's still really good. I think you have to be very confident that you are constantly having customers. And even if you are very confident, that doesn't mean that's going to last forever. But you need a reason to, make a fuss around what you do to make you more visible. And the launch experience will make you visible whether people buy or not. But also that kind of reminder of like, I'm here, and the incentive to get someone to actually buy. Because again, when it is the Black Friday, the sales, the new car reg, whatever it is, there is a incentive for someone to want to buy at that point. And in a average business like yours, like mine, there's no incentive. Like I said, it's not like a back to school thing. It's not like yes, naturally people might go, now I'm refocusing again. But it's not like, okay, I need to buy Christmas cards at Christmas.
This is the month for branding.
Exactly. Totally. Like everyone wants branding in January. Like that doesn't happen. So we need to create those moments, and we need to give people an incentive to buy. And I think that's the other thing of when, and I know I've done this and we've had conversations about, sometimes some of the tactics and strategies that people use can feel a little bit like, eek, not so nice. But the truth is, people don't necessarily wake up every day going, oh, I love Liz, I need to buy some stuff from her. Like, I wish to goodness they did. And even when they do love us, and you and I would imagine are similar in the sense of, we're fairly well known in what we do. We're hopefully liked. We're nice people. And we've had people go and buy from other people.
Yeah.
And we're like, hang on a minute, you really like me and know me. Why have you gone to them to buy?
And so often, though, it's just about reminding people that you're there. And I think that is a really good point about how a launch is like another benefit of the launch is increasing your visibility. Yes. And I have definitely noticed that, like, when I have done a launch, because I have forced myself to create much more content for that concentrated period of time, like I just naturally am more visible. And like, yes, that's not sustainable forever, which is why you have like that launch period. One of the things I was just thinking as you were talking, like, I don't feel like I personally have noticed the patterns like this in my business, but I know for a lot of service-based businesses, for example, they start to see the pattern of like, okay, January and February are always really quiet. Yeah. Or, you know, like it might not be that then, but like they'll have a period and they're always a bit like panicky. And I kind of feel like actually if you start to see those patterns, then you could start to strategically like build in time to have a launch in that period. Yeah. And then it could be like, okay, well, I know every January and February are really quiet. So like, I'm going to start do it like a buzz, like make a buzz, do a launch in that time. And then that kind of like sets you up for the rest of the year. And I think that's so helpful, isn't it?
And almost reminds people why that time is a good time. So for instance, one of the things that I do is I launch in August, right? Which is a crazy time of year to launch, right? If you were to ask me, 99% of the time I would say don't launch in August. Yeah. But people still work during August. But on the whole, people are taking holidays, families are off, children are off, routines aren't the same. However, I work with business owners that launch, and often September is a nice time for them to do that. So if I want to help someone in September,
you need to be working with them in August,
telling them in August why they need to be focusing now. Because if you're launching in September, your plan should be easily done by now. Like in August, that is when you should be going, okay, what content am I doing? How am I showing up? Like, am I starting my pre-launch content? So actually for me, even though technically it's a harder sell to get people to do things in August, I'm having to go, no, now is the time you need to think about it if you want to do this in September and you want to do it properly, as it were, or you want to do it as well as you can do in your own business. But again, the launch experience term for me is about what are you doing? What is the actual mechanism of the thing that you are doing to create that fuss? So is it masterclasses and webinars? Is it boot camps? Is it challenges? Is it a open house experience if you have a membership? Is it a paid workshop? Is it you're going to go live every day? Is it that you're going to do a whole email campaign? That's what I'm talking about. The marketing campaign is the experience. The launch, as it were, isn't actually the sales. It's the thing that you're doing to get people excited to buy the thing. Yeah. And the other thing is, the experience is the thing that's getting you the visibility, is having the conversations, it's getting you out there, because the people who will actually buy is a very small percentage of people.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And I actually think it's really helpful to talk about that, because I remember the first time I ever launched my course, a friend of mine, Maneksha, who's on the podcast, has been on the podcast a couple of times. She was like, tell me how many like followers you have everywhere. So she was like, tell me how many people are on your email list. Tell me how many Instagram followers. And I told her all the numbers. And she was like, look, just to be realistic, because I'd been like looking around what everyone else is doing. And I was like, oh my goodness, they had a 10K launch, or they had a 20K launch. And she was like, I predict that you will get 7 people sign up for your course. And when she said it, I was a bit like disappointed.
I was about to say, how did that land?
So I was disappointed, okay? Yeah. But I'm so glad she did it, because it made me reframe what success was going to look like for me in this launch. I got exactly 7 people. Yeah. She called it. And I was like blown away, because I was like, it is, I mean, obviously, you know, it could have been 8 or it could have been 6 or whatever. Yeah. Like she might not, it was like lucky that she got it exact.
But it was the ballpark.
It was the ballpark, was totally spot on. So I adjusted my expectations. So then I was like, that's an amazing first launch. I got 7 people, which is what you would expect from the audience I had. And so actually so often it's like reframing your expectations. And I think we look around at what more established people with huge audiences are doing, and we're like, I want that. Yeah. And then we have this like really inflated expectation about what's achievable. And I was so grateful to her because I could then come out of it feeling really pleased with myself. I was like, that was a successful launch. I got what would be expected.
Yeah.
And it worked, like the launch worked. And so I think it is, and obviously, maybe those stats have changed now. That was like 5 years ago or something. But it is a really small percentage of the list. And so I think there's always going to be outliers where maybe they've got something, what's going on in culture, what's going on in the business world. It suddenly just hits and it resonates and they have this like crazy huge launch. But that's often the outlier, and not the norm.
And I can literally go, that's why that was. Every launch I see, I can break it down and go, okay, the reason they did what they did was because of X, Y, Z. It is very rare that I will see a launch publicly or a launch I'm involved with that I can't make sense of the numbers.
Yeah.
So for instance, the numbers. So when you do a launch experience, like I said, the campaign to get them excited, that we call that a launch list. Okay, so they're the people who have said, yes, I want the challenge. Yes, I want the webinar. Yes, I want the whatever it is. That list, you normally end up selling to between 1% and 8% of that list. So if you have 100 people sign up for your webinar, you will sell between 1 and 8. Now, when you are launching for the first time, that's normally a bigger percentage. If it's higher touch, it's normally a bigger percentage. If it's a colder audience, it's a lower percentage. If it is the first time, so for instance, you were a designer, or a designer, not work. She's retired, everybody. This is where we're announcing it.
No, I'm not.
Bye, Liz's stuff. But this is where you did design, you had a done for you offer where you did someone's design for them, and then you were doing a done with you or a do it yourself. Well, technically, I would have looked at that and said, you might not have the audience for that.
Yes, because it's a different audience.
Because it's a different audience. Because the people who come to you to buy your offer, your done for you, are not going to buy a course or are very unlikely to buy a course on how to do your own brand. So that's one of the considerations I would have taken into place. There are so many, and this is the other thing that's really frustrating, is it's so nuanced. And I have to know and understand all those nuances to go, well, that makes sense why that did that. But what happens is exactly what you did, in the sense of you looked externally, you looked at other people's launches, you saw what was possible, and you let that dictate what you hoped you might get. But what you didn't know is, for instance, someone who is bringing in a £1 million launch has email list sizes of 500,000 people, has an ad budget of hundreds a day,
and they're getting the same percentages.
They're getting the same, if not worse.
They just have higher volume, and it looks impressive.
And it looks like, well, if they're doing it, I can do it. Well, yeah, we can, if you have those numbers, if you have the budget, if you have the credibility that they have, if you have the long history that they've had of selling and doing the same thing. When we look at some of the people in the top of my industry, the likes of Amy Porterfield and Jenna Kutcher and all those sort of people, they've been doing this. Amy's been in this industry for 15 years. She's been selling the same thing for basically 15 years. Her credibility is at the top of the tree. So when she goes into launch, but again, her numbers are the same as everyone else's. She just has a much bigger audience to begin with, and is able to build the trust in that audience a lot quicker, and has years of testimonials and case studies and examples of, I can do this. But again, because this is the other thing, we've done the launch, you've done the thing, you actually then do the thing you're selling, and you might get 1 or 2 really good results out of those 7 people. And then you've got 1 or 2 really good case studies. So then you're thinking, well, this is really hard to talk about because only 1 or 2 people did really well. But again, that's exactly the truth.
And those are the numbers, because again, there's stats on how many people will complete the course, how many people won't even open it, and it is so interesting. And again, it'll be the same stats for Amy 100%. As it is for me. It's just a different scale of audience.
It is.
I think, and I do think that's where having those numbers and those stats and being like armed with that information is really helpful, because I think so much of it in business and just in life is managing your expectations.
And like you said, you know, and again, we've had conversations about influencer life and content creator life. People only show you what they want you to see.
Yeah, totally.
They're not telling you, and that's entirely up to them, but they're not telling you all the details behind it. And what I try and do is demystify some of this stuff, is give you a very honest look at it. But my main conversation that I have all the time is people come to me and go, my launch flopped, and I go, give me your numbers, and then I go, no, it didn't.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah.
If you want more, we need more in the beginning. We need to build your audience. We need to, you know,
this is the part of the process we need to work on.
Yeah,
totally.
Or we need to tweak your experience, because this is the other thing, right? So you've got your email list, your social media, ads if you're running them, running into your launch list. So how was that percentage first? If that percentage wasn't very good, who have we got on your email list? In my business, I've been in business now 11 years, I have done what I tell people not to do. I didn't niche. I went into something else. I certified as a coach when I talk strategy mostly now. I mean, it's great that I have this toolkit of like, I can whip out coaching things, which is brilliant. But my heart is in strategy and the numbers and the funnels and the marketing. But like, I digress. So I built this big audience, but they didn't all come to me for online business strategy, funnels, launches. So therefore, I would look at my list and go, well, your list is this side, I'd expect this. And I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get my numbers.
Some of them are there for a different reason.
Because they're not the right audience. And I'm having to work really hard now. And it's probably going to take, realistically, organically, if I don't put a lot of ad spend behind it, it's probably going to take a couple of years for me to churn that list, or for me to filter that
almost
list.
Like put off the people that aren't meant to be there, or just even like educate them as to like what they can expect, and almost like let them see themselves out the door. Yeah, totally.
And that's hard, you know, because obviously we all have people in our world that we love and we're like, you're awesome, but I'm just not the right fit for you anymore. And we actually had this conversation on the way over here of like I was telling a story of someone who was considering joining one of my programs, and the program at the point I think was like about £2,500. And I knew that yes, of course she'd get value and she'd come on the calls and I love her to bits and it'd be awesome. But she actually messaged me going, if I join your program, I can't buy a greenhouse. So I told her to buy the greenhouse. Like, because even though I knew she'd have got value, I actually knew it wasn't the most perfect fit for her. And I knew that her business wouldn't grow exponentially enough because she didn't want it to. And actually the offering she was giving she was kind of maxing out where she was. And I knew that wasn't the right thing for her. So I was like, buy the greenhouse, don't buy my program, you know. So
and that's where the integrity comes in, isn't it? It's like being honest about who you are for. And I think there's a lot of people who don't do that, and they just want to get in as many people as possible. And like, they might get great numbers in terms of people who buy, but they're not going to get great numbers in terms of people who get results. But I think the other thing, so one of the things that I feel so strongly about, and I try and mention on this podcast all the time, and I think everything that you've just said confirms it, is like there isn't this one size fits all plan. Like, you can't sit here today, like, you can give me some great tips about launching, but you can't give me a launch template that everybody listening to this can use and they'll get the same results. And like, obviously that's really frustrating because you know, we want it to be easy.
We want the magic pill.
Yeah, we want the magic pill. But if there was a magic pill, then we wouldn't all be buying these courses and then being disappointed because it didn't fix up.
No, because they would have given it us already. And if I had it, I would be using it.
Yeah, totally.
And you're right. And I think that's the other thing. Like, the online space has changed a lot. And when I talk about the online space, I am talking like course creators, membership owners, you know, that sort of thing. But like, it used to be, here's the secret. I've got the secret, right? And we've bought all the courses. I've even joined a lot of the programs. I have spent tens of thousands and been bitterly disappointed in some places because they were marketed as, this is what you're missing. The truth is, there is nothing anyone teaches that isn't already out there somewhere. So there's no secret, there's no hack that someone's missing. For me, where I stand in this space and where I promote myself is that I get to know you, your business, your offer, your price point, your customers, and I tailor my advice based on that. Now, this poses something really interesting for me, because One of the things that people will do is they will look at me as a person who teaches launches and person who teaches marketing strategy and watch my stuff, right? Now, I have never had a 6-figure launch or a 7-figure launch. I never will, because what I sell is high touch, is much more personalized.
You don't want the volume,
I don't
do you?
want the
because
volume.
you want to know the people.
And I can't have the volume because I literally wouldn't be able to deliver, or I'd run myself into the ground trying to deliver. So I don't want, as much as, don't get me wrong, my bank account would love a 6-figure launch. Of course I would. Like, I'd buy loads of chickens and cows. So, like, there's a lot of things I could buy with 6 figures, right? But
I love the chickens and cows.
Like, literally, that's what I'd be buying. But, like, I don't want the result of earning that money, because the result would be, to bring 6 figures in on a launch for me, I would need to bring in at least, I don't know, like probably 30 people, 40 people at one point. That would be a lot for me to manage. And because of who I am, I would try my absolute to maintain the level that I currently am at, in terms of how well I know these people, the time and effort I give them. I'd run myself into the ground delivering at the level I deliver at. I wouldn't change the way I deliver, because that's just me as a person. I would literally make myself ill by trying to maintain that. So I can't do it. But the problem is, and this is where this industry is a little bit, and I think generally lots of industries are a bit off the wall here, is they are determining my knowledge and my expertise to help them based on what I'm producing for myself. Just because someone can create their own big launch does not mean they have the knowledge and expertise to help you with yours. The same way as, and the reason we know each other is because we are in a world of where we are mixed with content creators. Just because someone, and this isn't just our world now, this has been the case when I started business 11 years ago, just because someone can produce content for themselves in something they are passionate about does not mean they can then transfer those skills into someone else's business. I have had to market the wildest of wild things. I have marketed something called a telescopic slide. Basically, you know, in a car or in a seat where you lift the thing, if you have not electric cars, and it slides forward and back. That's a telescopic slide. That's the same in like big server units where they pull them out and it holds the weight. I marketed that. I've marketed adult products. I've marketed processed chicken. Like, that's the difference.
Yeah, totally.
So just because
you know how to sell a whole variety of things, not just your one thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And I think what happens is we get swayed by looking at someone else's big results and going, oh, well, they got it. They must be able to teach me how to do it because they did it. No,
I feel like
not necessarily.
This is such a huge life lesson because it translates to all industry. It's the same as when in the branding industry, someone will look at this new brand that's come out and they'll be like, I hate it. That's really, you know, like loads of brand designers will start giving their opinion on it. And I'm like, you don't know what the brief is. Nope. You don't know what the client said to you. You don't know what the parameters are. You don't know what their goals are. Yes. This might be answering the brief to reach this goal perfectly.
Yes.
Like the goal might have been to get people talking about the brand and have it be really controversial. Like then it's answered the brief perfectly, but you don't know what that is. And I think that's so important. Because I've been sucked in as well, where I'm like, look at what someone else is doing. The other thing that I had to learn is just because someone's doing something, it doesn't mean it's working. It just means they're trying something. Yeah. And so I think so often people look at how someone else is like launched, for example, and they think, well, if they're doing that, it must be working. Yeah. I will copy it. I'll do that too. And then you chat to them and they're like, oh no, that didn't work at all. Yeah. I was just trying something out and it was a complete flop. And then they adjust and they try something else out. But I think the other thing, based on what you were just saying, which I think is so interesting and so important, is, and I feel like I've been having this conversation a lot, like I could look at what someone else is doing, and I have done, and I want the results, but I'm not willing to do what it takes to, I almost know what I need to do to get those results. And either because of integrity or because I don't enjoy it or for a whole host of different reasons, I decide that the cost of doing the thing to get to that result is not worth it for me. And so I would rather forgo that result because I'm not willing to do the thing. And that's exactly what you've done.
Yeah.
You're like, it would be nice to have a 6-figure launch, but I'm not willing to change how I run my business to make it happen.
And my values and how I show up.
So key as we look around at what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Like, you probably can achieve what someone else has done, but do you want to? Like, is that actually what your goal is? And I think so much of it is working out, like, what is it that you truly want? And I've tried so many things where I'm like, oh, this isn't actually what I want. I saw someone else have it and I thought I wanted it. Now that I've tried it, I'm like, nah, this isn't for me. Yeah.
And the other thing that's really interesting is what goes hand in hand with that, which leads to these problems, is they're not always telling you the truth of what it took to get what that
so
got.
True. Yeah.
Okay, so they're not. I've watched things where people have gone, and I can say I kind of do the same, but it's like I break the fourth wall all the time, right? So as I'm launching, I'm telling people, look, I'm launching, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I gave a testimonial of someone who has 150 people on their list, and they made £10,000 in a launch, one launch, their first one, right? Now, most people would go, you don't need a big list to launch and make money, right? And people go, that person only had 150 people. I've got 200 people. I can make 10 grand. No, because that person sold something very expensive and they only had to sell 3. Like, that was the difference.
Well, that's the thing, is't it? Yeah, there's so
no
much
context.
information that you need to have. Yeah, totally.
So when someone's going, I did it, you can do it. No. First off, did they have a team? Second off, how much was it? Third off, how long have they been doing it? How big was their audience? Did they use affiliates? Did they use ads? Was it warm? Was it cold? Like, this is the truth. Like, there's so many nuances to it that it's never, ever straightforward. So yes, and I don't want to take away from the fact of it's inspiring, because it is inspiring, and it does prove if someone else has done it, you can too.
There's a possibility.
It is possible. However, are you willing to do what they did? Are you willing to work as hard as they did? Are you willing to show up in ways that they showed up? So when I sell my program, I do calls, which I wouldn't really call sales because I'm not very good at sales, but I basically get on a call with someone and I discuss whether I think it's going to work for them or whether it's going to meet their needs. Me personally, I don't have a sales team. I don't need a sales team. I'm not doing that many calls, as I've already said.
Yeah.
My numbers are low. However, I got on a call with a lady and she said to me that she wasn't going to buy from me. She'd bought 2 other programs and she'd got on the calls with sales teams and they had, I'm going to use the term missold it, but I don't think it was done intentionally missold. But because the person whose program it wasn't the person doing the calls, it wasn't fully understood what was needed. And therefore she paid for something that she didn't get. And that caused a problem, obviously. So it's even things like that. Like, have you got a sales team that are coming in? Have you got people who are there? And let's be honest, that salesperson's objective was to make the sale. Yeah. So whether that person directly missold it or not missold it, I don't know. And no one will ever know. But are you willing to do that? Are you willing to do the calls yourself? Are you willing to, again, I was at a mastermind event with Ali Abdul. It was really amazing. And he had some phenomenal people in the room, right? And I'm talking to these young people who are like in their 20s. And this guy's like, yeah, so I made like 3 million last year. And I'm like, what? And he's like, and everyone gets on a sales call. This is how I do it. I'm doing something like 40 sales calls a week. What?
That sounds miserable to me.
It
like, I don't want to do
horrendous.
that. Yeah, that's not how I want to work. Yeah, totally.
So it's like, if I wanted to do what he did, then yes, I could probably have a 3 million a year business. I don't want to, thank you.
No.
So again, it's about being realistic. It's about understanding that it's not always what you see online.
You know, like we look at so many things without the context. And I think that is really dangerous.
Yeah.
To kind of, this is going to sound weird because obviously we've talked about how it's not the same for everybody and everyone's got to do it differently. Like, you know, there's a lot of context and nuance. So take this question with a huge caveat. But if you were to sort of break down a launch for people or maybe just talk us through like some of the process, like what it could look like for someone. And obviously we're not saying do it exactly like this, but just give us
and
like
you'll make £1 million.
Yeah. Give us a bit of a sort of like, what is what is the bare bones of a launch? Like, what is the process?
So my program is called Grow, Launch, Sell. And basically that's the very
bare
crude,
bones of it.
basic kind of thing. So you need an audience. I literally gave that example of someone had an email list of 150 people, but she literally only had to sell 3 to hit 10 grand or something like that. Those numbers don't work out, but you know what I mean? It's small because it was big.
We won't get hung up on the maths.
Yeah, you're like, hang on, you're lying there, Teresa. So you do need an audience. Now, you don't necessarily need a ginormous one, but you do. You need to be known for the thing that you're talking about and selling, because otherwise you're literally just going to be talking to silence and no one's going to buy. So audience growth, audience building, becoming the expert, you know, we've
like almost personal brand building, isn't it?
100%. And more than ever, you need that, because literally AI can create a course. I could tomorrow put a course up for sale on how to crochet, having never crocheted in my life, because I could get AI to write it. I could get AI to create me videos for it. I could literally have AI do the entire thing.
You could even make an avatar of yourself so it looked like you were the one doing the crochet.
100%. Yeah, totally. I mean, again, we've just been watching amazing AI stuff do these crazy things where I could literally have it create a video of me doing it and it not be me. So more than ever, we need to have our personal brand in check, and we need to be, even when you think I'm not a personal brand, I just help people with sales, or I just help people with crocheting or whatever it might be. But why would they buy from you over anything
which
else?
Is the crux of branding. Is like, how are you going to distinguish you and what you offer from the next person?
And the one thing that distinguishes us is our experience, our lived experience. I know what it's like to sit and wait to do a webinar hoping and praying someone will turn up. I know what that's like. I know that sick feeling. I know that sick feeling when you open the cart and no one buys. I know that feeling when you look at your phone and you're like, I got a sale, right? AI doesn't know all that, right? So we need that personal brand. We need that audience. Then we need to create an experience. Again, I would love to imagine that someone wakes up one day and goes, oh, I wonder if Teresa's selling something. I'm just going to go and buy it. They really don't. We need to give people a reason. And when I say experience, I'm talking about do a masterclass or a webinar, same thing, i.e. show up and do some kind of delivery. It's not a training, because that's where people get this wrong. It is a specific thing when it's a webinar. A challenge, a boot camp. We have a mutual friend, Hannah Eistad, who's amazing, and she does these amazing challenges. She's doing the Big Fish Challenge at the point we record this. Like, you need to create that experience. You need to make sure that that experience is in line with what you're selling. And the very quick rule of thumb is the more you want them to spend, the more you need to put into that experience. So if you are selling a low cost course for £100, a couple of £100, you probably could just do a webinar and have someone come along for an hour. If you're selling a low cost membership, you could. Memberships are tricky, but you could do that. However, I sell a program that right now costs £3,500 for 6 months to work with me. I can't do a webinar and expect people to buy. They need more of me. They need higher touch. They need more conversation. So I actually do paid launches. So people pay to come and do a launch experience with me. But this is a really strong caveat of this, if you are doing paid launches like I do, you need to give them a transformation within that launch period. So you can't just have them come along, hang out with you for 5 days and sell to them for 5 days. No one is going to thank you for that. So you need to give them a transformation within that period, and then go, if this worked and you liked this, then come and do this other thing. And once they've spent 5 full days, not 5 full days, but 5 sessions with me, then they have a much clearer idea of who I am, what I do, whether they like me, whether they resonate with how I teach, whether they think I can help them. And then I do sales calls, and then I do a call with them. Like,
you're giving them a low risk way, aren't you, to get some value and find out if you're the right fit for them. Yeah, I love that.
Before I ask them to make a big commitment, because that is a huge amount of money. Now, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely worth every single penny they pay, but it is a large amount of money. So the rule of thumb is whatever experience you're doing, the more you want them to spend, the more you have to put in. And the other rule of thumb is the more effort you put in, the better results you're going to get. very honestly, I am in a launch right now and my numbers are way down on what I want them to be. My time frame was not big enough. My effort was not big enough. And that's on me.
It's like the nurture time, isn't it?
Yeah, and I didn't, because I actually did some consulting. I was very busy in that, and I jumped immediately into a launch. I didn't warm people up enough. I didn't do as many moving things as I would normally do, and that has reflected in my numbers. Which again, you know, so I have this saying that I did at Atomicon a few years back of, it's not my saying, obviously never anything new on the internet. Don't be annoyed by the results you didn't get for the work you didn't do.
Yeah.
But I want to caveat that as well by saying, if you don't want to do the work, that's fine.
But
just
you
be aware.
can't be surprised then when it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And it goes back to what you were saying earlier about how you can look at it and you can see why it hasn't, you already know why it hasn't worked out. And I think then, you know, life happens, business happens, like you were busy just before and you have to like work with the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
But then and I think this is the thing that I love about the mentality of thinking of everything as an experiment, is that you will then do your launch debrief, you'll make notes, you'll be like, okay, I didn't do long enough nurture period, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Next time I'm going to start on this date and I'm going to give my, you know, I'm not going to book in any consulting work then because I know I need this time. You know, like you then adjust, don't you, based on...
And you can adjust in the moment as well sometimes. So the final bit is obviously you've got the grow, the launch, and then you've got the sell bit. So this is where, and again, sometimes people really drop on this bit because they do, like sometimes people do amazing launch experiences and then at the end they go, do you want to buy my, no, okay, fine. Okay, and they literally don't sell.
The bit they fall.
You have to sell. And the whole point of a launch experience is to sell. And we can't be shy about that. And not only do you have to sell, but we have to use certain strategies. There are bonuses. There's a reason why bonuses work. I used to avoid, it's really funny. So degree in marketing, worked in marketing for 10 years, started my own business, doing marketing for other people, then found the online space, then suddenly realized that some of the strategies that I didn't put two and two together that actually I'd been using for years and years and years and businesses have been using for years and years and years felt horrible. And the intent behind them were horrible.
Yeah, some of it's very manipulative, isn't
very
it?
manipulative. Yeah. But what I did first, which I don't advise, didn't work, was I went, I'm not using these strategies. And I literally dropped them all. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this because it's horrible and it's awful. The truth is, I use some of these strategies today, but my intent behind them is good. There are people who use, you know, they will put bonuses in for bonuses' sake. They'll put bonuses in, they'll make them sound inflated. And when you get it, you're like, oh, that's not what I thought that was. Yeah. They will put deadlines in. They're fake deadlines. They will go, there's only one more spot left when there's infinite numbers of spots. Like that is not okay. But those strategies, we do need to use them. So when we are in the sales mode, there is parts of sales that we need to do and the strategies that we need to do, even though, like I said, previously I would have gone, they're horrible and they're not nice, the intent behind them. So the last bit is the selling bit. It's the, you know, you need to sell. So for me right now, I'm in this launch, I'm doing a boot camp and I don't have as many numbers as I would like for the boot camp. I know, because I've done it many times over, what I can actually get at the other end. So when I sell my program, I actually get about 20% conversion, which is a really high conversion. But again, there's reasons behind everything. I have less numbers coming in because it's a paid launch. I am high touch. I will literally DM everybody. I will have conversations. Anyone that is fully taking part, they will get everything from me. So my conversion is higher and that makes sense. Yeah. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, well, the numbers coming into the bootcamp isn't as high as I'd want. I was publicly going to sell, grow, launch, sell at the end of it. But because I need to recover quickly from this and probably go into another sale, I'm now in my head, literally today, thinking of this. I might not publicly sell, grow, launch, sell. I might do the bootcamp for the number of people I've got in. I will give them everything and some, as I always do, and I will only sell to them because then I will immediately go into something else. So I am off. So
you don't want to have worn out your audience with two launches back to back. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, smart. And I like how you're basically showing us how you're adjusting in real time.
Yeah.
And like adjusting your expectations, making a new plan. And it is so much like experimenting, isn't it? It's like, okay, well, this hasn't worked how I hoped, so I'm going to try something else. And it is that like analysis and that kind of like, okay, I can see what went wrong here. I can see what I can tweak now. Here's how I'm going to try recover, like all that kind of thing.
And this is almost full circle back to the whole conversation of how it's not working now. Because what would happen is if you went and bought a course from someone who taught this stuff and the course said, do this, do this, do this, do this. And like me, right now, I'm in a point where I'm like, oh, hang on, this isn't working. And I know why, because obviously I'm in this industry and I teach this stuff. But you might not know why it wasn't working. So you're like, hang on a minute, I did these steps. The bootcamp isn't selling, or the bootcamp isn't getting the numbers I want, but they said the next step is to do this because they're not dealing with anybody.
One size fits
they
all.
Literally bought a course.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't. And then who do they think the problem's with? Them.
Yeah.
Not the course, because the person selling the course had a massive launch.
And
they sold loads. So how have I got this wrong and they didn't? The problem must be with me. But the truth is, and the reason why I can't and won't ever have those massive launches is because I know who in my world is currently in a launch. And if they come to me, I have a coaching call on Friday, but I have a community that they're in all the time. They could drop something in today going, T, this launch isn't working, or these numbers aren't where they want, and I'll help them course correct it. And sometimes we don't need to course correct it. Sometimes I go, let's just keep with the program, and I help them keep the faith. Sometimes I go, we need to push these last few days. Come on, we can do better than this.
You would like cheerlead them on for that boost. Yeah, totally.
Sometimes we need to go, and I had this literally a couple of weeks ago where someone was selling something and she was like, no one's bought. And we looked at it with everything else and I went, pull it before someone buys. We're not going to do that at this point. And then let's focus, because she was moving into another launch fairly quickly. So let's pull this before we burn out your list, because we're getting indications that no one's going to buy this at this point, and that's okay. And again, I knew who was on a list. I knew what we'd already marketed to them. There's so many nuances.
All the nuance, yeah.
And I know that obviously not everyone, you know, if someone is in this space and thinks, gosh, that sounds really great and Teresa could help me, and I know not everyone is going to be in the position to work with me at the price I sell, which is why I do things like the boot camps, which is why I have the YouTube channel, which is why I'll answer DMs. But that's why I sell at what I sell and what I do, why I won't necessarily go, I have a whole course, I have a huge program that on its own I could sell, but I don't, because they need me. They need me to go, right, tell me about this.
And you want to help them get like the success. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think that's like an integrity piece, isn't it? It's like for you, it's more about the transformation that people get rather than making the most amount of money. And I think, you know, like, that is part of the problem, is not everybody's intentions are the same. For some people, they don't really care about the people.
Nope.
Like, that's just the reality of the world. Like, it's just about how much money they can get into their bank account. We have to be astute about, like, what other people are doing.
We have to be discerning.
Discerning, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
One of the things that you just mentioned that I just want to touch on, so having launched in different ways, I have experienced that painful period in the middle where it goes really quiet. So I think the pattern tends to be, and again, it's going to be different for everybody, you open your cart, you get a flurry of orders, you then have this absolutely horrific dead period where you don't get any sales, and then as the cart's about to close, you get a flurry of orders. Please tell me how you cope and how you get yourself through that wobble in the middle, because I'm sure everybody listening who's launched will have experienced it. Maybe not. Maybe it's a bit different if you're a product-based business.
Yeah, maybe.
But maybe it's not. Like, maybe you still have the same thing.
So there's another great saying, again, which I stole from someone, obviously, that was follow the plan, not the emotion.
Oh, yeah, that's good advice.
Right.
I mean, I need that advice for the whole of my life.
Literally, just standard. Just
existing day to day.
Yeah, literally. Totally. You know, I want to die and cry today. No, we have to show up and do the things. But that's the truth, and know that is the case. Yeah. So again, like, sometimes it's someone coming into my world going, and me going, just hold, just hold, just be with it. And do not get me wrong, I do exactly the same. I go, oh my God, like, this is awful. No one's buying it. You know, and I have that sick feeling and I have that thing, and I have to say to me, this is normal. Yeah. And everything's an experiment.
Yes. That's my favorite mindset shift ever.
Like, you know, and if that's what I know is going to happen, then that's what I can expect next time. The other thing we can do, is there anything I can do for that? Is there a particular offer I bring out on day 3? Is there a particular bonus I do just for that day? Is there some additional activity? Do I send more than one email that day? Like, but again, it's like, what is normal per se, which again, there is trends. And like you said, that is definitely a thing. You will get sales more when you open, and you'll get sales more when you're about to close. The days in between do tend to have a lull, but to what degree will depend on so many other things. But like, is there something we can do, or do we just go, that's expected, and we just, you know, go along with it and wait for the end?
And also, do you know what? One of the things I think is, if you plan for it, then you can either ask for help.
Yes.
So like, you can get someone who's going to give you the pep talk through those days, or, you know, you plan something in that's going to give you, you know, that's going to give you a boost. So you're not going to just sit there fixated, like looking at your inbox, waiting, you know, like do something fun, or like create some content, you know, there's like different things that you can do to give yourself a boost. And that's so much of it. I don't know what you think, but I think so much of it in running your own business is being really honest about who you are and what you need, and knowing yourself, and be like, okay, I know that I'm probably going to feel quite down on these in-between days, so I'm going to give myself a morning off and go and have a pamper so that I'm not stressing about it. Literally. Or, you know, like, but it's going to be different for everybody, what they need to get through it. And like you say, when it's an experiment, you can try things and see what happens.
And one of the things we talk about all the time in my world is we schedule stuff. Okay, so like, all of my bootcamp emails are scheduled already. Like, we try and get ahead on everything, because if you didn't, that's when the emotion gets in the way. So for instance,
then you're tempted to quit.
Exactly.
But if you've got it all scheduled, you're not going to quit the plan.
And actually, social isn't scheduled for me. So that's where I really have to kick my backside and go, show up on that story, Teresa, because you'll go, oh, what's the point? No one's buying anyway. I'm not even going to bother. Like, when actually, and the other thing is, you don't know who is literally sat on there silently,
and they just need one more piece of content and one more nudge.
You just don't know. Or that bit of language that you had in the email plan for tomorrow will hit more than the bit of language today. Like, you don't know. Or the thing I really hate doing, which I make myself do, is the personal outreach, because I am dealing with low numbers and smaller numbers, because that is my business and how I work it. I can do personal outreach. So I will send voice messages. And because I teach this stuff, and like I said, it's like I break that fourth wall all the time, I'm able to go, I hate doing this, but I'm showing you that you've got to do it, because I'm making myself do it. Like, it's sending those voice messages. But again, if I put myself in that rut and didn't follow the plan, I would be going, I'm not doing it because no one's going to buy. Where it might have just been that thing that got them. The other thing is, on this, is it's about being proud of the actions you're taking, not necessarily the results. You don't know, right? You could have the best offer at the best price, doing the best launch experience, and something horrendous happen in the world, and everyone just falls off a cliff, right? Or the most perfect person that wants to buy from you, and something happens in their world and they don't buy.
Life,
It's nothing to do with us. We can't guarantee. We just don't know. We can't make someone buy from us, and neither should we, by the way. Like, so the thing is, if I get to an end of a launch, and like I said, I'm writing one right now, and already I'm going, I can go, I'm not going to beat myself up for it, because there was reasons for all of it, but I have reasons why we're where we are. But if I get to the end of the launch and I can't give myself a good reason, or I'm frustrated because I should have sent 3 emails and I only sent 1, you've got to send more than 3 emails, by the way. But like, or I should have done this and I didn't, then that's on me, right? Whereas if I get to the end of the launch and I go, I did my stories, I did my thing, I did my whatever, high five me, I'm ace, then great.
You can be proud of what you did.
Totally, because we can't control the outcome. We can't control that they bought. And I've had people in my world for years who then came and bought from me.
I know. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's, you know how they always used to say in marketing, like 7 touch points, and now it's like 28 or something. But I do think, like, one of the other sort of shifts that I've had to make, I think if you really believe in what you're selling, but you hate selling, you hate launching, like you have to remind yourself that there are people who need what you've got to offer. And actually, if you don't tell them about it, you're doing them a disservice. Like it's actually a kindness to show them the thing that they actually need. And so then I think if you think about it that way, but you're like, oh, they need a nudge. They need to be reminded quite a few times, and I say this as someone on the receiving end where I've seen something and I'm like, that's perfect for me, I need to buy that,
and didn't.
I get distracted, and then I do something else, and then I see another thing and I'm like, oh, I was gonna buy that, and then and it might be right at the end. I am terrible for, I mean, I hate it as the launcher, but as someone buying something from a launch, I am terrible for leaving it right to the wire and being that annoying person that like buys right at the end. But it's all that psychology thing, isn't it?
Is help them make a buying decision.
Yes,
You're not coercing them. You're not convincing them. You are laying it out as simply and as clear as possible so that they can make their own buying decision. But we need help making that decision. Another great example of this, like you just said with you, because I'm the same. I wanted to go to Inbound this last year. I was going to be in Seattle.
Inbound?
Inbound's an event. It was in San Francisco this year. It's a huge event run by HubSpot. I spoke there years ago, but I spoke online and I'd never actually been to the event. And there's an amazing guy called Jay Schwiddelson who's a friend, and he was speaking, and I wanted to go and see him, and I'd never met him in person. So anyway, I was like, I'm going to go to Inbound. I'm in Seattle anyway. I can get a flight down to San Francisco. Great, perfect. I'll book the ticket. They had an early bird. It was finishing, but they never told me when it was finishing. Oh. So I kept going, I'll book that. Yeah. I'll book that. Yeah. I'll get around to that.
You need a deadline, don't you?
I needed a deadline.
I need a deadline.
They didn't give me a deadline. When I eventually went to book, they'd put the price up, and I thought, I don't want to pay that. And I didn't go.
Because you didn't get reminded. So you needed someone to remind you about it. Yeah.
So people like deadlines are sleazy. No, they're not. You're giving me a line in the sand for me to make a decision. If I don't want it, that doesn't matter. Fine. It won't like that. I'll go, that's cool, but I'm not interested. But if I want it and I wanted it for that price, I needed that deadline. The problem comes where you go, and I've seen this happen way too many times in my space, where someone goes, the price is going up. Oh, I'm going to give you an extra 48 hours. No, because I won't believe you ever again. And I'm going to be annoyed that you said, and then you changed your mind. You've moved the goalposts. I can't trust your goalposts. So if you're using these strategies, you use them ethically, you use them right, and they are real. They're not fake. So if you say the price is going up, the price goes up. You don't then add another 2 weeks. You don't then go, oh, I'll drop it again. Like, we have to be so careful with our audience, and we have to...
It's that trust, isn't it? Like, you have to... And I think sometimes we don't honour that trust that we've built enough. And it's hard to build trust. It's easy to break trust really quickly. 100%. What would be 3 tips that you would love to just get across to people to help them feel excited and empowered, like, do their next launch? What's your, like, parting words of wisdom for people?
Okay. So you just touched on it then. You are serving someone. You have a solution to a problem they have. I know everyone listening to this, because I know your audience will be very similar to mine. We are real, honest, passionate people in the thing that we do. We deeply care. We are not snake oil salesmen. We're not trying to sell something.
We're not trying to trick people.
No. We are selling something that gives the result that people are looking for. Now, not everyone will do the work. Not everyone will get the result, but that isn't through the want of us creating something that is really benefiting them. So when you are selling the thing, you are helping them with the problem they've got. And that's the way we need to look at it. If there's one thing I could get everyone to do, it would be get so clear on the transformation. People don't want to buy 26 hours of videos teaching them every intricacy of everything. What they want is the result. So you need to be
tell them what
abundantly clear on your customer is here. And I talk about mountains. Your customer is on one mountain, the pain mountain, the problem mountain, where they are stuck. They're trying to get to the other mountain, which is the transformation mountain, and your products and services, the thing that's going to help them. However, they don't necessarily need or want your products and service. They want the transformation. So if you are selling your product and service, if you are going, when I do your branding for you, I give you or I do X amount of hours, I do 10 hours of research, I don't care. In the loveliest way.
How am I going to feel at the end once it's done?
What result are you giving me? Is that brand going to help me get more clear and stand out and be visible and get more customers? Because that's what I want. The process really doesn't matter to me. So know that you are serving your audience. If you don't sell to them, they're going to go and buy from someone else who doesn't give half as much of a crap as we give. And that's the annoying thing. And then they're going to feel burnt, and then they're going to be really cautious about buying it again. So, and I say this with joking love, but you're doing them a disservice. If you're not selling, you are not helping them one little bit. You're being very selfish. So you need to, or we, and I include myself in this, need to get over ourselves and go, no, we are really good at what we do. We're really passionate. We really care. And therefore I am going to show up and sell the thing that I am selling.
So that the people who need it find it.
Exactly. And they don't go and buy it from someone else who doesn't give a crap about them.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Honestly, I love this. And it's been so good for me because I haven't been launching much recently because I closed my courses. And so it's just really inspired me for like how I can implement some of these things in my business and really think about it. Like I love the word experience. I feel like that word has like really changed my mindset about it all. So I'm excited to go and implement it all. If people have listened to this and they want to find you and they want to come be in your world, want to come and learn from you, where's the best place to go?
So you can go. I now have a YouTube channel. Get me?
I know. I'm really enjoying your videos.
I mean, I haven't yet joked with my children that I'm a YouTuber. But so go and search Teresa Heath-Wareing over on YouTube. You'll find it there. Every single week, I put out a video, which is also a podcast, where it's really strategic. Like I want you to come away and go, oh, I can try that in the business. So go and find me there. I'm mostly on Instagram, although I am really...
You don't love it, do you?
I don't love social media.
So are they just searching Teresa Heath-Wareing on YouTube?
If they just search Teresa Heath-Wareing on YouTube or My Dream Business on podcast, then you'll find it on there. But sometimes I have nice graphics on YouTube, so you definitely want to come and check that out. But yes, just search Teresa Heath-Wareing and you'll find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Liz. It's been so much fun.